Let him say what is true. Let him say what is pleasing. Let him utter. If a man refuses to eat meat during a sacred ritual, he becomes an animal for the next 21 births. The Supreme Being created animals for yajnas, and yajnas. If she wishes, she may shrink her body by eating pure flowers, roots, and fruit. Welcome to this series on Manusmriti. In the last video, we briefly looked at the content of the first 3 chapters of this ancient scripture. If you haven't watched it, the link is given in the description. In this video, we will go through the main points of chapters 4, 5 and 6. Let us begin. Chapter 4. This chapter provides the rules for the livelihood and conduct of a Brahmana during Grihastha-ashram, which is the life of being a householder. In order to maintain his family, Manusmriti advises him to subsist by collecting corn or what he gets unasked, or food obtained by begging or by agriculture or trade and money lending. But he should never take up service, which is described as a dog's life. There are countless rules in this chapter regarding his everyday behavior, which include whom to give respect, how to behave with his wife, and so on. Sloka number 43 says, "Let him not eat in the company of his wife, nor look at her while she eats, sneezes, yawns, or when she sits relaxed." A Brahmana is advised to rise at Brahma Muhurta and try to gain spiritual merits and understand the true meaning of the Vedas. About 25 slokas also explain various occasions when Vedic study or recitation is forbidden. For example, sloka number 131 says he should not recite Vedic mantras while lying on a bed, while his feet are raised on a bench, or when he has eaten meat or food given by a person who has become impure on account of a birth or death in his direct family line. This chapter also has the famous line about telling the truth, which is Satyam bruyat priyam bruyan, na bruyat satyam apriyam, priyam cha nandrutam bruyat, esha dharmaha sanatanaha. Which means, let him say what is true, let him say what is pleasing, let him utter no unpleasant truth, and let him utter no pleasant falsehood. That is the eternal law. This chapter has also advice on how householders should maintain interpersonal relationships with other family members and servants. Sloka number 81 warns, if a Brahmana explains the sacred law to a Shudra or asks him to perform a penance, he will sink into the hell along with that Shudra. Sloka number 244 says, if a Brahmana desires to advance his race, he should always associate himself with the most excellent people and shun inferior ones. It warns, if he acts to the contrary, he will become a Shudra. It also has some practical tips for success. For example, sloka number 159 advises him to avoid undertakings that depend on others and eagerly pursue that undertaking which depends on himself. This chapter also has rules for accepting and offering gifts and food. And finally, sloka number 258 advises him to meditate in solitude, saying it is good for his soul. Chapter 5. This chapter explains what twice-born men should and shouldn't eat, and what are the purification measures after they become impure. Here, the term twice-born refers to male members of the first 3 varnas, which are the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. This chapter also describes the duties of women. First, let us look at food-related rules. Shloka number 5 says, twice-born men should not eat garlic, onions, mushrooms, and other plants that spring from impure substances. They should not eat foods like rice boiled with sesame, wheat mixed with butter, milk with sugar, etc. when they are not prepared for a yajna. And they should not eat meat which has not been sprinkled with water accompanied by a mantra recitation. From Shloka 11 to 15, advise the twice-born men to avoid all carnivorous birds that eat fish or meat from slaughterhouses or dried meat, etc. At the same time, Shloka number 16 says, the fish called Patina and Rohita may be eaten if used for offerings to gods or to deceased ancestors. Then what should the twice-born eat? Shloka number 18 recommends porcupines, iguanas, rhinos, turtles and rabbits, and also those animals that have teeth in one jaw only, except camels. Shloka number 22 in this chapter says, a Brahmana can kill all the recommended animals and birds in order to offer in yajnas or to feed those who depend on him, as done by Rishi Agastya. Shloka number 32 says, he who eats meat that is offered to the gods and deceased ancestors commits no sin. What is more, according to Shloka number 35, if a man refuses to eat meat during a sacred ritual, he becomes an animal for the next 21 births. Shloka number 39 says, Swayambhu, the Supreme Being, created animals for yajnas, and yajnas are good for the whole world. So, killing animals is not killing at all. Now let us look at some rituals of purification. A man becomes impure when there is a birth or death in his family, or as soon as he hears about a birth or death in a Sapinda family, which means that family belonging to his family's lineage. Manusmriti says, after 10 days, the impure person becomes pure by bathing, being dressed in his clothes. However, according to Shloka 94 in this chapter, a king who is on the throne does not have to wait for 10 days. For him, immediate purification is prescribed, as he is seated there for the protection of his subjects. According to Shloka number 109, the body is cleansed by water, the internal organ is purified by truthfulness, the individual soul by sacred learning and austerities, and the intellect by true knowledge. Shloka number 139 says, the person who desires bodily purification should sip water 3 times and wipe his mouth twice, but a woman and a Shudra should do this action only once. Now more on women, about her duties prescribed by Manu. According to Shloka 147 of this chapter, young or old, a woman should not do anything independently, even in her own house. Shloka 148 says, a woman must never be independent. In childhood, she must be subject to her father, in youth to her husband, and when her lord is dead, to her sons. According to Shloka 150, the desirable qualities of a woman are being always cheerful, clever in household affairs, careful in cleaning utensils, and economical in expenditure. Now let us see what Manusmriti says about a woman's relationship with her husband. Shloka 154 says, a faithful wife should worship her husband as a god, even if he has no virtues, and seeks pleasure outside. And Shloka 155 says, there is no need for her to perform a sacrifice or any other ritual separately, as she will enjoy in heaven only by obeying her husband. Shloka 157 says, if her husband dies, if she wishes, she may shrink her body by eating pure flowers, roots and fruit, but she should not even mention the name of another man ever. At the same time, Shloka number 167 and 168 prescribe that if a man's wife of equal caste dies before him, he shall perform her funeral with sacred fires. Then he may marry again. Chapter 6. This chapter deals with how twice born men should live during the third order of their life, which is vanaprastha or forest dwelling. When a householder sees his skin wrinkled, his hair white, and the sons of his sons, he may proceed to live in the forest. How should he live there? By wearing a skin or tattered clothes and keeping his hair and nails unclipped. And he is not supposed to eat anything grown on a ploughed land, nor should he eat roots and fruit grown in a village, even if he is terribly hungry. Sloka number 23 says, in summer, he should expose himself to the heat of 5 fires. During rainy days, he should live under the open sky, and in winter, he should wear wet clothes. Why such rigorous measures? According to Shloka 29, these measures help attain complete union with the Supreme Soul. And finally, this shloka also advises the person in vanaprastha to study Upanishads. In the next video, Chapter 7, Duties of the King as the Protector of Dharma, Rules for Administration, Taxation, Warfare and Justice. Chapter 8, Categorization of Crimes, List of Punishments. Chapter 9, How Women Should Lead Their Lives, Rules about Inheritance and Property. Share your opinion in the comment and wait for the next video. Thank you.